In your opinion, is there one pillar that stands out as more crucial than the others?
No. They are three pillars. They are foundation supports for professional standards, and I think they're all important. The difference between them is more historical, and I would like to say in some ways we find it's more interesting in some ways to consider the third one as more important. I think the third one is more timely, and I think the third one maybe is more important only in one sense, and that is in the sense that it's not as well developed as the other two, and it needs more development. It needs more professions to be thinking through the best way of doing it. At the moment, we're very, very strong on a movement of looking at continuing professional development from an output point of view rather than an input point of view. And in that sense, I think, if anything, I would say it's not more important ultimately, but it's more important to get it up to the same strength, the same research base as the other two. But ultimately, I think all three are important, and it's very difficult to choose between them.
Are there any aspects within these pillars that stand out as particularly important for ensuring a high level of professionalism?
Well, that's difficult. I would say that that's a very controversial question. And almost like whatever I think of, I'm going to think of a counterexample. Let me give you an example of that. So you could say that what's absolutely crucial for initial qualifications is the highest level of academic achievement required in order to cross the bar to become that sort of professional. And many professions do consider themselves to be have a higher status, being more professional, being better if, for example, everybody has the equivalent of a university degree, and even better if everybody has the equivalent of a second university degree, a master's degree level, or ultimately a PhD level. Now, but I'm not sure that that is such a great thing in all cases, because the more you move in that direction, the more, you could say, the more distant you become from practice, so that those people who are gaining qualifications to practice are gaining qualifications in the theory of the subject, and it may be that there's only so far they should go in order to be a competent practitioner. I'm trying to think of another one in a different category. Again, it's very controversial as to what punishments you should have when people are found to be not acting up to standard. And you could say that the strongest way of ensuring overall professional competence is to get rid of as many bad apples as you possibly can, so that, and very often the general public is kind of expecting that if a doctor or a lawyer or some other professional is found to be acting in an incompetent manner or an unethical manner, that they should be immediately struck off. And therefore you could kind of measure the quality of professional regulation by how many people get struck off. Now again, I'm not really sure that that's a great way of looking at it. Some people should be struck off, but other people maybe should be given further education to improve themselves. And you could say other kinds of actions should be used in order to ensure that fewer people get to that stage. So almost everything you think about is somehow unclear, controversial. Let me give you an example from the third pillar, the one that I'm very keen on. You could say that you can never get enough education, or you could never spend enough time maintaining and developing your competence, that you can always do more courses, you can always do more reading and always do more training. But that just isn't so. I mean, there is a trade-off between actual practice and preparing yourself for practice, or doing things to keep yourself up to date. There is a great tension in terms of the financial aspect of it, and there is a resistance to a certain amount of continuing professional development among certain professions when it clearly gets in the way of making money from fees. So, and some of that is clearly justified. You can't spend all of your time preparing for practice. You've got to actually get on with the practice. So almost every single one of these things, if we look at an aspect and say, well, this is particularly important and this needs to be pushed further and further, there is a point beyond which one should not go. And that's why, to refer to my answer to the previous question, all three of the pillars are important, and many, many aspects of those pillars are important. There needs to be some kind of balance.